Imagine you are sitting in an ER.
Never a fun place to be.
Right, exactly. So you're in the ER, and an AI system analyzes your vitals. It scans your entire medical history, cross-references it with literally millions of similar cases globally, and then it spits out a highly accurate, life-altering diagnosis.
And it does all of this in, what, a fraction of a second?
Exactly, zero point 0.4 seconds. I mean, it is an absolute marvel of modern efficiency. The hospital bed is freed up faster, the billing is automated instantly, and the system just, moves on to the next person.
Seamlessly.
Yeah. But as you sit there processing this diagnosis that you barely even comprehend, completely alone in a room, you really have to ask, is this actually good healthcare?
That is the big question right now.
It really is. And if you are listening to this, I know why you're here. You're a learner. You want to cut through the jargon. You want the quick, thorough shortcut to being well-informed on the stuff that actually matters. So today, our mission is to unpack a massive paradigm shift happening right now in how we think about technology and human care.
We are pulling from a really fascinating excerpt today.
Yes, it's titled The Wisdom Shift, Redefining Progress in Cognitive Healthcare. And it asks one fundamental and honestly highly counterintuitive question. As AI accelerates medicine way past human tempo, is efficiency still the right North Star?
Or do we actually need to design AI to slow down?
Exactly. Okay, let's unpack this, because we usually associate AI with just doing things faster, right? But this text argues the exact opposite.
It does, and it's a radical question because it directly challenges the baseline assumption of the last, I'd say, 50 years of medical progress.
How so?
Well, if you look at how healthcare systems have evolved, progress has been almost entirely defined by efficiency metrics. Shorter hospital stays, faster diagnostic turnaround times.
Right, higher patient throughput per hour.
Exactly, and lower costs per case. And obviously, expanding access and lowering costs are vital goals.
Yeah.
Nobody's denying that. But the underlying argument of this paradigm shift is that we have essentially confused efficiency with wisdom.
Oh, that's an interesting distinction.
Yeah, the text makes this crucial point. Efficiency is about doing things right, but wisdom is about doing the right things.
Doing things right versus doing the right things. I like that. Let me try an analogy here to see if this tracks. Think about like a fast food drive-through.
Okay, I'm with you.
A modern drive-through is just the absolute pinnacle of efficiency. It is engineered to do things right. You pull up, an algorithm predicts your order based on the weather and the time of day.
The kitchen workflow is optimized down to the millimeter.
Exactly. And the assembly of your burger is this standardized protocol scaled across 10,000 locations. It's a fantastic system for processing cars quickly. But if you take that exact same logic, that exact same drive-through optimization, and apply it to a human patient.
A patient who is scared, in pain, and needs complex care.
Yeah, you end up with an incredibly fast conveyor belt that just completely misses the human element.
That is a perfect analogy.
Yeah.
And that conveyor belt dynamic is exactly what patients are experiencing right now.
Because the systems are so good at processing.
Right. Modern healthcare systems have become extraordinarily adept at standardizing decisions. But on the receiving end, the lived experience of the patient is often one of fragmentation. It's opaque. They experience a really profound loss of agency, honestly.
I mean, we've all been there, just feeling like a number on a chart.
Exactly. The text points out that this isn't necessarily a failure of execution, though. It's a failure of definition. For example, a patient might receive a highly accurate AI-generated oncology report through an automated portal at, say, 9 o'clock on a Friday night.
Oh, wow. Just a push notification saying you have cancer.
Yeah. The system efficiently delivered the data. It did its job perfectly. But it abandoned the patient to process the emotional and psychological weight of that data completely alone over the entire weekend.
So the system is doing exactly what it was designed to do, move data and clear cues, but it feels entirely disconnected from actual care.
Precisely. When progress is defined so narrowly around throughput, emotional neglect just becomes a byproduct of optimization. And now, AI has entered the equation and acted as this massive multiplier on the problem.
Because it's so much faster than us.
Right. It introduces a profound asymmetry. These systems act far faster than human cognition can actually process. Predictive models update continuously. Decisions propagate across entire hospital networks in a fraction of a second.
Which is a triumph of intelligence, sure.
It is. But as the core philosophy of this wisdom shift points out, Intelligence without sense-making is dangerous.
Intelligence without sense-making is dangerous. That's a stark quote. But I have a question about this. If AI is accelerating blindly across, finance, logistics, manufacturing, social media, why does the text single out healthcare as the ultimate battleground?
That's a great question.
Right, because if a supply chain algorithm makes a hyper-fast, slightly uncalibrated decision, thousands of shipping containers get rerouted. That's a massive disruption. Why is the stakes calculation fundamentally different in a hospital?
If we connect this to the bigger picture, it really comes down to the irreversible nature of the consequences and the inherent vulnerability of the people involved.
The stakes are just higher.
Much higher. Healthcare operates under extreme asymmetrical knowledge. In logistics, the warehouse manager and the AI both generally understand the goal move a box from point A to point B.
Right, pretty straightforward.
But in healthcare, the patient doesn't have the medical expertise that the AI or the doctor has. They are relying entirely on the system's benevolence. Therefore, these decisions carry a moral weight that goes way beyond just optimizing a supply chain. If an AI misroutes a package, it's an annoyance.
You get your socks a day late.
Exactly. But if an AI miscalculates a diagnostic probability, and a tired, overworked human doctor just rubber stamps it without thinking because the system is pushing them to clear the queue, that's a tragedy. If we can't design wise systems here, we really won't be able to design them anywhere.
Okay, let me push back on that a little bit, though. Play devil's advocate.
Go for it.
If human doctors are tired, overworked, and prone to rubber stamping things precisely because they can't process the sheer volume of data, isn't the whole promise of the cognitive revolution to just build smarter machines to handle that?
To take the humans out of the loop.
Yeah. Couldn't we theoretically build an AI model that is so advanced, trained on so much ethical data, that it processes all that moral weight automatically? Why rely on a flawed human at all?
That is actually the most common misconception of the cognitive revolution.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the text is very clear on this. It is profoundly misunderstood as an arms race for better, larger models. But the goal isn't to build a machine that perfectly simulates human morality so we could check out.
So what is it about then?
It's actually about the reconfiguration of decision-making under acceleration. As these systems take on massive amounts of cognitive labor, humans are faced with a stark choice. We either abdicate judgment entirely, letting the machine make the call because it's faster, or we deliberately redesign our systems to protect human judgment.
Protect it, not replace it.
Exactly. Progress isn't measured by what machines can do. We already know they can do almost everything faster. Progress is measured by what humans remain capable of doing well.
Here's where it gets really interesting, though. Because realizing human judgment is the goal is one thing. But if I'm a hospital administrator, right, and I have a waiting room full of 50 angry, sick people and an understaffed team, how do I practically implement wisdom?
It's incredibly difficult.
Because historically, we treat wisdom as an individual trait. We think of the wise senior attending physician who has seen it all and knows when to trust their gut over the chart. But in a hyper-optimized network, that individual doctor's intuition just gets flattened by the algorithm.
It absolutely gets flattened. And the text argues that no single clinician, no matter how skilled, can single-handedly counteract misaligned incentives or runaway automation. The institutional momentum will always override the individual.
So what's the fix?
Wisdom must be designed into the system itself. It has to become a structural discipline, not just a soft personal trait.
Which brings us to the actual mechanics of how you do that. And the source introduces this concept of designing for pause.
Yes. This is the most radical design choice for the cognitive age.
The idea is that we have to deliberately place friction where values matter and intentionally slow down decisions when the stakes are high. But, what does a pause actually look like in software? We aren't just talking about a loading screen that makes the doctor wait 5 seconds, right?
No. It's much more structural than a simple time delay. Designing for pause means engineering specific mechanical friction into the clinical workflow. So we must pause before action, before scale, and before irreversible harm.
Give me an example of that.
Okay, imagine an AI system analyzing a patient's chart and recommending a high-risk, irreversible surgical procedure.
Okay.
A purely efficient system would present a one-click approve button to the surgeon to keep things moving. Boom, done.
Right. Maximum throughput.
But a system designed for wisdom introduces friction. It might hide the approve button entirely until the surgeon explicitly types out a short narrative rationale for why they agree with the AI's assessment.
Oh, wow. So you physically cannot proceed on autopilot.
Exactly. Or, another example, temporal friction. Say an AI diagnoses a life-changing condition, like early-stage Alzheimer's. The system might intentionally embargo that result from the automated patient portal for 24 hours.
Just hold it back entirely.
Right. It forces a pause before scale, ensuring that the first time the patient encounters this information, it's in the presence of a human being who can actually provide context and empathy. It protects diagnostic humility and patient participation.
It's like a circuit breaker in a house.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, because think about it. You don't install a circuit breaker because you hate electricity.
Right, you need the power.
You need the electricity to run your house, just like we need AI to process massive data sets and find patterns human eyes would miss. But you install the breaker so that the sheer volume of power doesn't literally burn the house down.
Yes.
The AI is the electricity, and the human is the circuit breaker.
That is exactly the dynamic. The text actually has a powerful line about this. It says, "Progress that cannot pause is not progress. It is momentum."
Progress that cannot pause is not progress.
AI systems must be designed not just to act, but to wait.
So what does this all mean for how we run hospitals? Because if we actually do this, if we deliberately slow things down and enforce these circuit breakers, we destroy our traditional metrics.
Completely.
We clearly can't use throughput or cases cleared per hour as our main grade if we are actively programming the software to wait.
You've hit on the exact structural friction point of the wisdom shift. If healthcare is going to move from efficiency to wisdom, the scorecard has to be rewritten.
So what goes on the new scorecard?
The text outlines several new metrics. First, measuring patient understanding, not just clinical outcomes.
Meaning, do they actually know what's happening to them?
Right. Did they comprehend the trade-offs of the treatment? Second, we need to measure trust, not just patient compliance.
Not just do they take the pill, but do they trust the person prescribing it?
Exactly. Third, we must measure continuity of care, rather than just isolated throughput. And crucially, we need to measure moral clarity, not just legal defensibility.
Okay, this sounds amazing in theory, but as a practical reality, how do you measure moral clarity or trust? I mean, you can't just write a Python script to scrape a database for trust. These metrics seem incredibly hard to automate.
They do resist automation. And the text has a very specific perspective on that, that resistance to automation is a feature, not a bug.
Wait, really? A feature?
Absolutely, because if a metric can be perfectly automated, it will eventually be gamed by the algorithm to maximize efficiency. By choosing metrics that require human conversation and qualitative assessment, you anchor the system in reality.
It forces the human to stay in the loop.
Yes, which outlines exactly what this means for the future of the human role. The narrative is constantly framed as human versus machine.
Right, the race to see who gets replaced first.
But that's a false dichotomy. The future is not human versus machine. It is the human reclaimed as an interpreter, a moral agent, a sense maker, and like you said, a circuit breaker. AI can extend human capability, but it cannot replace human responsibility.
Because capability and responsibility are two very different things.
Exactly. We have the capability to automate a cancer diagnosis in milliseconds. We have the responsibility not to. Patients aren't asking for perfect, frictionless systems. They're asking for honesty, care, understanding, and dignity. A wise system doesn't try to eliminate uncertainty. It helps people live with it.
Wow. It really forces us to ask what we actually value. True progress isn't about having a larger AI model or smoother workflows. It's about better judgment under pressure. It's building systems that respect human limits and institutions that actually remember why they exist in the first place.
To care for people.
Exactly. For you listening, think about your own experiences navigating the healthcare system. Think about the times you felt like just a set of data points on a screen, rapidly processed and discharged, and then contrast that with the times you felt truly seen by a practitioner who took a moment, who intentionally took a pause to actually connect with you. The defining question of this cognitive age isn't technical, it's philosophical. What kind of intelligence do we want guiding human lives?
If the answer includes structural wisdom and protected humanity, then AI becomes worthy of our trust. But I do want to leave you with a final thought to mull over, something that builds on this text.
Let's hear it.
Let's say we do this. We successfully design AI systems in hospitals that enforce these pauses and prioritize moral clarity over pure efficiency. What happens when those intentionally slow, wise healthcare systems inevitably have to interact with the hyper-efficient, non-pausing AI systems of the insurance companies and the financial institutions that fund them? Can a wise, intentionally slow system actually survive inside a purely efficient economy?
That is a massive structural collision waiting to happen. If the hospital pauses to ensure moral clarity, but the billing AI denies the claim because it wasn't submitted in an optimized millisecond window, yeah, the whole ecosystem fractures. Definitely something to keep an eye on. Keep questioning the systems around you, look for where the pauses are, and more importantly, where they are missing. Thanks for taking this deep dive with us.